My biggest win with the journey has been that inner peace and just that fundamental knowing that I've got full purpose and great deal more happiness.
That was amazing for me, and actually for my whole family. Allowed us to keep this open mind on life and to open to all the opportunities.
I have so much more freedom and self-connection and health and vibrancy. I just feel more alive.
The journey helped me to understand what my emotions are, not to be scared of them.
It changed my life. It cleared all blocks and brought into my consciousness what my heart's desire was.
Now I feel my life is easier. I feel stronger, feel what I feel and find a new solution.
To be free from the burden on my shoulders. I live in the moment now, and I'm open to my emotions from the highest to the lowest.
Until the journey, I didn't really know that I could get to the same depth without using any substance. It's getting easier and easier to connect to the deepest part of myself.
Probably the biggest improvement is my inner life or my inner freedom to be as myself, in myself, not being a victim of circumstances and the other people.
The journey has really been a second chance in life for me. Having permission to dive deep and find out who the real authentic me was and just to be that person has just been wonderful.
When you listen to yourself and when you really touch your soul, something magical happens.
Life is different because of the journey. I feel I have all the tools I need to face whatever life throws at me. Life has become fun.
My biggest win was healing a broken heart, and not once, many times. I would never have been able to be in the position that I am in now had it not been for the journey.
Befriending myself in really accepting who I am, that I am perfectly imperfect and I don't need fixing.
I've gained so much. So there is no one big win. If it had to be named as one thing, I would just say it's life-changing.
It's changed my world, it's changed my life, it's changed me. And it's allowed me to be open and vulnerable and completely transparent.
My biggest win as a result of using the journey would definitely be my ability to network and expand upon the goals that I've had for such a long period of time.
My biggest win since attending the Journey Intensive has been finding myself. It has been healing, transforming.
I am just so much more receptive and open to whatever God has planned for me. At the very core of me, being able to experience that peace has been priceless.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And a beautiful good morning, a beautiful good evening. We have audience here from all across the world. I'm seeing hello from Germany, from the UK, from Netherlands, from Estonia, from Norway, from Romania, all across Europe. And we are also having a beautiful group of people here from all across Australia, from the west to the east, and from the south to the north, and also from New Zealand. So welcome everybody to today's discovery session with Brandon, where we talk about how it's possible to overcome fears and trauma. And we have Brandon here with us live. Now, I'm going to we'll choose somebody from the participants here today to win a free place at the upcoming Journey Intensives. So please stay with us. Not only is Brandon sharing some teaching and some examples from the people who shared some of the challenges that are going on for them in their lives, but also we undergo a real introspection with Brandon during this session today. And I trust that everyone will have beautiful realizations, insights, and I look forward to seeing you on the other end. But in the first instance, let's welcome Brandon here. And thank you so much for being with us live. Thank you, Brandon.
And a heartfelt namaste to everyone. And I was very deeply moved. I actually read every one of the emails you sent in, the challenges you wrote on Facebook, and really try to take all of that in and absorb it so that I can do a session that is completely live and spontaneous, born from the collective issues that we're all experiencing. And this session, of course, the theme is overcoming fears and really getting to the root of trauma. And so many of you shared that you actually have traumas that you are aware of, things like your son got into an accident 8 years ago and died in that accident. And that's an overt trauma that we're aware of, or rape that has happened, divorce that has taken place, and a serious diagnosis with serious illness. But then there's the buried trauma that we're not aware of, which can result in a multitude of symptoms where we can just feel like we're tired all the time. A number of people wrote that procrastinating, doing things that we absolutely know that we need to do. And so, or a malaise that we're feeling like we know there's more to life, and yet we can't somehow access it. We don't have that vitality, that energy that we previously had, or we constantly getting ill. And so to me, that's evidence that there are emotional issues stored inside. And one woman was sharing that she actually has an alternative health clinic, but she got an issue with the nerves in her spine and had to undergo spinal surgery. And then the nerve pain from that surgery was so serious that she had to go back in for a second surgery where they worked within the cage of her spine. And now she's out of pain, but she's aware that there's buried emotional trauma there. She doesn't know what it is. I mean, she knows there's some sort of anger here, but she's aware. She has a sense that there's emotional trauma stored in that spine. And so even though she's been working with it medically, she wants to get to the emotional root cause. What has put that in place, and to clear it at the deepest level? And so I love reading something like that, not because I'm grateful that she's been in pain, but I'm grateful that she's become aware that there's something deeper that's operating there, that's buried there. And so many of you spoke about that you have a sense of that. And actually, you're a reflection of what's going on in the whole field of cellular healing and science today. And what has been found in terms of our emotions and our physical body is that when we feel a strong emotion, and science has found this, it releases a quantifiable biochemistry into our bloodstream, which will go to certain cellular locations inside the body and block the cells there, rendering those cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells in the body. And if over time illness happens, well, obviously happens where the cells receptors are blocked. Conversely, what's also known to be true is that when we feel ourselves, feel emotions very naturally, like a child does, where it just comes up and out, and we're very exposed, and it just comes up and out, our cell receptors remain open. And so, unfortunately, what happens when we freeze, like someone was saying that they froze. There was a person in the street who freaked out, and they actually froze in the face of it. Or let's say there's been an auto accident, and you've heard what happens is there's an auto accident. And what do we go into? We go into shock, where there's an immediate shutdown, a biochemical shutdown of the body. Now, when that shutdown happens, it can be someone's criticizing you and you don't know how to cope with it. And so there's a shutdown. It can happen that some overt trauma, like an auto accident happens, that you go into shock. And it releases that biochemistry and all the emotions you felt at that time, the fear, the pain, the terror, the anguish, whatever desperation, helplessness you were feeling at that time. Before you shut down, you were feeling that and you shut down. The biochemistry gets released, goes to the cells, and before that cell generation dies, it passes on its programming, its consciousness, that emotional pain to the next cell generation. So the next cell generation is born as an exact replica of the previous cell generation. So that programming gets passed on throughout our lives. As a matter of fact, many of you already know I was diagnosed with a basketball-sized tumor. And when I was in the doctor's office, she said, you know, Brandon, this probably started as one cell when you were around 8 years old, and it replicated and became 2 cells. And then by the time I got to the doctor's office, it was replicating exponentially, aggressively. And, you know, I got diagnosed with this massive mass. And so that programming had just been passed on down through the time and the ages. And so this can happen with all of us. It doesn't have to be something as serious as abuse or rape or, you know, sexual assault or an accident or loss of a loved one. It can be something as simple as a stranger in the street freaking out, and we freeze and the shutdown happens. And so one of the things that the journey does is it gives us the ability. I call it the journey because it actually is a journey that you can undergo inside your body to get to these specific cellular locations where these old cell memories are stored, these buried emotional pain, this trauma, this hurt, this shame, this guilt, whatever it is that's stored there, and go through a deep process of releasing and letting go and understanding forgiveness, so that when the new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. Now, in my own healing journey at the age of 39 years old, I had been in the health field and in complementary medicine, certified in so many different areas. And the last thing I expected to have happen was to be diagnosed with this massive tumor. And it really sent me reeling because I was supposedly doing everything right. And so it catapulted me on this profound, life-changing, soul-searching journey where I actually found a means for all of us to go on our own journeys inside of our bodies to get access to these specific cellular locations, to uncover the trauma, the pain, the buried emotional issues, to clear it out at such a deep level and so completely, so that when new cells are born, they're born without that as new regenerative cells. And this is why I work with medical doctors and with hospitals in all over the world, where, for instance, in Israel, there's 3 hospitals there, and one specializes in heart disease. And let's say you undergo a heart operation. Well, then you're going to go for a week into a recovery center where you use the journey to get to the emotional corollary. What co-created the illness? We all know, you know, that if repeated heart attacks are happening, that there's going to be some major stress happening in that life. You don't need to be a medical doctor to know that there's emotional issues that are unaddressed. And then, you know, it shows up as a heart attack. But the interesting thing is they found that if they're able to get to the emotional root cause of what co-created that heart attack in the first place, that they've done thousands of case studies following these people who've undergone the journey, and they're finding that those heart attacks aren't recurring. Same thing with the oncology hospital, where after they've undergone treatment, they go to the recovery center, they undergo the journey to get to the emotional corollary, the root cause of what co-created the cancer. And they're finding it's not metastasizing again. Same thing with multiple sclerosis. That's believed in some cases to be degenerative. And yet they're finding that not only are people no longer crippled, but they're having normal lives after they're finished with undergoing the journey. So this is work that is, yes, work you can undergo, but has a scientific basis that modern medicine is using to get to that emotional corollary. Now, many of you spoke about fears that are here, panic attacks that are no longer happening, but you feel like you haven't gotten to the emotional root cause of it. And before we dive even deeper, where I'm going to take you not on a journey process, we can't learn that takes place in a 3-day immersive seminar that you can undergo called the Journey Intensive, where you really, on the first day of the Journey Intensive, after deep teaching, meditations, process work with me, you undergo one-to-one process work. And same thing on the next day, you learn the physical journey about going through these cell memories. And the next day, some of the advanced skills. I can't give you that whole teaching and that process work in this 1-hour session. That would be an absolute lie. But I can help you to befriend your body in this session and to become aware of some of the emotional issues that have come up. And the truth of the matter is, we have been triggered. Let's say you're in an auto accident, and not an auto accident, you're driving your car. Someone cuts you off and there's a lot of traffic, and out of nowhere, up comes this rage at that person for cutting you off. Well, that person didn't come in the middle of the night and stick the rage there. The truth is that rage was already inside your body. All that person did is they pushed your buttons. That you had this automatic, instantaneous response, reaction, because the emotional issue was already stored inside your body, and all they did was trigger you. And so all of us have had different situations currently and in the last few months that have triggered us and created some sort of emotional response where we either got angry and lashed out, or we shut down and froze if it was in the face of criticism, or it could be not only did we shut down, but we withdrew, where we had an unhealthy emotional reaction. And yet your emotional reaction is born from something that's already stored inside of you. Now, some of you, at the thought of having to get up in the morning and do everything, the chores, already just the act of realizing what lays ahead of you, there's this instantaneous tiredness, which is an emotional reaction to a deeper issue. So let's just do a little exploration here. And let's take a nice deep breath in, letting it out, closing your eyes, and let your awareness drift right now to some recent time. Could be in the last week, the last month, the last few months, where you got triggered. Something took place. Someone said something, some circumstance happened, something took place, and your reaction was to either freeze, you shut down, withdrew, lashed out, but you had some big reaction. You got triggered. So even if you're not consciously aware of when you've most recently gotten triggered, let your awareness just kind of expand now and drift back over recent times to a time where you know you had an unhealthy, triggered reaction. And go right to that time right now. Step into that picture, that time where you got triggered, where you either froze or shut down or withdrew or there was a way in which you lashed out back. Go and step into that time right now and feel what it felt like to react, that it was actually a knee-jerk reaction, an involuntary, automatic, triggered response. Feel what that felt like, that triggered response. And now roll the cameras back to that millisecond, that moment before you reacted, where there was an impulse to react. And roll the cameras back in time to just before the impulse, the drive to react, is happening. And just open up and kind of stretch time. What were you really feeling prior to the reaction? So once again, let's go to the moment where you got triggered, to that reaction. Roll the cameras back to that impulse to react, that drive to react, and once again to that millisecond prior to your reaction, and just open your being. What were you feeling at that time? And even if you're not sure, what might you have been feeling? And then open into the very core of that. If there were something even deeper, what might that feeling be? If they were deeper than the surface, if there were a deeper emotion, deeper feeling, what might that deeper feeling be? And just opening into whatever that is. And if there were an even deeper feeling underneath that feeling, beneath it, what might that deeper feeling be? And just opening with what's there. Welcoming whatever's here and also whatever's not here. Taking a nice deep breath in and letting it out. And you can open your eyes now. Now you may have just gotten a little taste or a glimpse that your strong reaction was actually a form of defense against feeling this very uncomfortable feeling that's here. These uncomfortable feelings are buried inside of our body, and they're actually buried in different cellular locations. And so the journey is a method that can take you deeply inside the body to open into the infinite intelligence of the body, the part of you that makes your heart beat and your eyes shine and your hair grow. And it's at that deepest level, at the level of the soul, that you turn the flashlight on inside and you end up going on a journey inside the body where you literally can uncover these old buried cell memories, these emotional issues, these old trauma, and gently you are guided to go through a deep and very complete process of release and letting go, understanding what's taken place to you in your life, and actually forgiveness. So that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. And so if I had to describe what is the journey in a nutshell, the best way I could describe it is to say that we, all of us, come into this life as a radiant, shining diamond, as a vast field of love, an enlightened awareness where we feel ourselves to be connected and part of all of existence. As a matter of fact, science has found that when we are newly born and a young infant, we feel ourselves to be resting in a field of oneness, of awareness, of peace, of love, where we're part of all of life, and life is taking place in us. As a matter of fact, when Mother's hand comes before your eyes, as a young infant, you actually feel Mother's hand as being part of you. That's how vast this vast field of enlightened awareness is that we came in as. But unfortunately, through the natural course of life's pains and trials, this vast field of presence that is ourselves, this radiant joy, this love, this peace, this awareness, it gets covered over with a series of lies, of pain, of shutdowns. And it could be something simple, like you're 3 years old and you're crying about something, and your mom says, oh, come on, come on. We've got to dry our tears. We've got to get to nursery school. And the little you gets it, oh, I'm not allowed to feel, at least not those feelings with the tears. And the first involuntary emotional shutdown happens. Now you start shutting down one emotion, you begin automatically shutting down other emotions. I can remember I grew up in a very domestically challenged household. It was brutally violent. And part of the ways I used to escape was into my children's books. And I used to love reading. And of course, when you love something as much as I did, you become good at it. And so I was chosen in my elementary school, my grade school, to represent the third graders in a contest in the United States that they call a spelling bee. And we were all coming together. All the schools in our whole county were coming together in a big stadium. And all the parents were there, and the school teachers, and all the students were there. And I had been picked to represent the third graders. And I'll never forget this. I was standing on stage and I'd already spelled 3 difficult words. And then they gave me one of the easiest words in the English language, the word fleet. Now, I'd not seen that word in any of my children's books, but I had seen the word flea, an insect. And I said, F-L-E-A-T? And the whole audience was hushed. And all at once, it erupted into laughter. No one had given me a manual. How do you deal with mass humiliation in front of all your friends and teachers and parents? And I looked at my mom, who was sitting in the third row, for support. And she looked back at me as if I was the greatest disappointment in her life. And she just went, and it was like this internal wall just came slamming down inside of me. I went to retreat to the back of the stage with the other losers. And that day I decided I'm just so stupid that I'll just always be a laughing stock. I'll never be good at anything I do. I'll never succeed. And it's like this, layer upon layer of shutdowns, negative beliefs, lids. Now, when we get to be adult, these layers are stacked up, and we cover this whole mass over with like this polished mask that we present to the world. And we wonder why it is everyone thinks we're so full of, you can say it. And then life gives us a wake-up call. Now, these wake-up calls can come in so many forms. The form of a divorce, in the form of a loss of a loved one, in the form of someone committing suicide, or it can come in the form of a lockdown, in the form of a war, serious illness. That's how my wake-up call came. And you're very blessed when they happen, because for once, you're willing to get real. And you crack through this phony mask that you've been presenting to the world. And you end up spontaneously opening down through all the layers of the lies and the pain and the shutdown And eventually you end up opening into this vast field of love, peace, that is your essence. And you realize it's been there all along. But like me, you've bought into all the layers that cover it. And if you're like me, you fall so in love with that peace inside that you're willing to do anything to clear whatever blocks you, whatever shuts you down, whatever lids you put over your life, whatever emotional blocks are here, whatever lampshades are here, so that this radiant love that you came in as, this light, can live your life. So if I had to say, what is the journey? It's about getting real. It's about opening down through the layers of the pain and the shutdowns into that infinite intelligence. And it's at the deepest level, at the level of the soul, that you go on a journey inside your body, guided by your soul, to these cellular locations to uncover the exact cell memory, the pain, the emotions that are there, and go through this process of release and letting go and understanding, ultimately forgiveness. So that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. And that was my case. 6.5 weeks after having been diagnosed, I ended up in hospital and they did all the scans. And I was pronounced textbook perfect clean, completely tumor-free. And part of the gift of my own healing journey, as this method called the journey, was born from that. And it is something all of you can undergo. Now, as I said earlier, that whole teaching is an immersive 3-day seminar that you can take. And it's a roll up your sleeves kind of thing where you really dive in deeply and go through the clearing process and then can use those tools with your friends, your loved ones, and in your own life. We cannot go through that here today. But what we can do is begin this process of exploring with your body, opening with your body, being present and befriending your emotions. Most of us, when we feel an emotion, it's like we feel an emotion, smoke it away, drink it away, get on Facebook, get on, surf the web, call a friend, go to the movies, distract ourselves, anything but actually feel the emotion. And yet the emotions are actually the gateway to your soul. And it's only through our emotions that we can finally undergo profound healing. So even though I cannot give you this 3-day immersive teaching right now, we can at least begin taking these baby steps towards befriending our bodies, befriending our emotions, and go on a little divine experiment right now where we can begin this process of exploring and befriending ourselves. So if you'd like to join me, let's take another nice deep breath in, letting it out, and closing your eyes. And a deep breath in of openness and breathing that into the room. And the willingness just to explore with yourself and breathing that into the room. And trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in life. Trust that your soul wants you to heal. It wants you to come home to who you really are. It wants you to be free. Breathing trust into the room. And now letting your heart be as wide as the world. Wide enough to welcome all the feelings that live inside of you. That's how vast, this vast open sky of all acceptance is. And now let's turn our gaze inside the body. And you already know this. The body is like a container full of all kinds of emotions. And our feelings, they're like little kids. Some of our feelings, they're loud and attention-seeking. Others of our emotions are kind of shy and scared. And others of your feelings, you've pushed them away and rejected them so many times, gone into denial, that you've put lids over them. And like a rejected child, they don't even come up anymore. They're too afraid. And so putting out a warm welcome to all the feelings that live inside of you, even those rejected ones. And you might even say you're sorry for having pushed away your emotions for so long. And so welcoming all the emotions that live inside of you. And then finding in a part of your body where there may be a little tension or stress or holding or hiding or some sort of contraction going on. Locate that area right now where there's some sort of holding or contraction going on. Locate that area. Take a deep breath in of this acceptance right now and letting it flood that area, letting it soften, marinate, and tenderize this area, letting it open you. And if there were a feeling starting to arise out of that area, I wonder what that feeling might be. Might be as quiet as a whisper. But as you breathe acceptance into this area and feeling your opening and welcoming, if there were a feeling there, what might that feeling be? Let it arise in your awareness. And if this area could speak and had words, what would it say? Give this area a voice. If it could speak, it had words, what would it say right now? And let those words arise or sounds arise. And as you listen to your body, how does it make you feel emotionally? Or perhaps a picture's here. If a picture's come out of nowhere, step into it. How are you feeling in that picture? Or maybe it just feels like this whole area is blocked, like there's a lid over it. Assuming there might be a lid here. The same way you would peel back the lid on a can of peanuts. Take hold of this lid and lift it off now. What's hiding here? Welcoming whatever's here. Whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance and coming to neutral now. And finding another area of your body where there may be a little tension or stress or holding or hiding or contraction going on. Find that area right now. Locate it. Take a deep breath of acceptance. And now flood that area with acceptance. Let it feel like you're softening it and opening it and marinating it, tenderizing the whole area. And if there were a feeling starting to spontaneously arise out of that area, what might that feeling be? Might be as quiet as a whisper. But if there were that feeling there, what might it be? If this area could speak and had words and you gave it a voice, what would it say right now? What sounds or words would arise? And just let that arise in your awareness right now. Or perhaps a picture's showing up. If there is, step into it. How are you feeling in that picture? Or perhaps there is a lid. Taking hold of that lid right now and lift it off. What's hiding here? How does it make you feel emotionally? Just welcoming whatever's here and whatever's not here. And taking a deep breath in of acceptance, flooding this area with acceptance and coming to neutral inside of yourself. And if it feels appropriate, you might like to let your body know that you're going to start being present to what's going on here. You're going to be open to listening. You're going to start allowing whatever feelings are here and just bathe them in this acceptance. So if it feels appropriate, you might like to let your body know that you're going to stay open and present and allow it to communicate to you. Taking a nice deep breath in, letting it out and flooding your whole body with acceptance. And once again, the heart is as wide as the world. It's vast and open, spacious and free in front of you. It's boundlessly spacious and vast behind. Infinitely free, spacious to all sides. And you're just resting here in this vast open sky of all acceptance. Taking another nice deep breath in. Sighing it out and staying wide open in this open sky of acceptance. So that eyes open or eyes closed, same presence. And another nice deep breath in. And sighing it out. And when the eyes are ready, you can open your eyes now into this presence. And with your eyes open, awareness remains open and spacious in front. It remains vast and spacious behind, and infinite to all sides. And you're just resting here in this vast open sky of all acceptance. And so if the eyes have not yet opened, this is your invitation to open your eyes now. You can open your eyes now, and the eyes will open now. So I realize this was just a very brief exploration, but I'm sure there were many of you who actually found quite deep issues, emotional issues buried there. And so it really is an invitation from your body to allow those issues, to be felt, to open into them. They're connected to cell memories. And there's a method here to get to the emotional cell memories to which these emotions are connected. Now, I'm just going to welcome you, if you'd like and are willing to, just to share some of what you uncovered, some of the feelings that arose. Some of you may have just touched the tip of the iceberg. Some of you may have uncovered deeper emotional issues, even though this was just a short guided introspection. Still, you've become aware there's definitely deeper emotional issues there. So what are some of the emotions that you touched on? What are some of the feelings that came up for you? And if you'll type that into the chat box, and Gabby will read them out loud, if you'd be willing to share some of what you uncovered, you discovered inside yourself. All of this is your body saying, yes, if you're willing to be open to me, I'm willing to reveal and expose to you what's stored inside here.
Yeah. But just rolling in already, it was suppression and frustration. Yolanda said, I have to try so hard. The next one was fear, panic, sadness, emotional hurt, anger and fear, annoyed, embarrassed and fear, sadness, shame, loneliness, so wide variety, anger, sorrow, rejection, grief, all in one.
Wow. Wow.
Sharon is sharing, in the first process, I felt attacked and then lonely and then worthless. Prickly, fear of being left all alone. Separateness, fear of separation.
Wow. So there's some quite deep issues here arising, and they're coming up because you're open now. You're willing to start this journey to listen to your body, to get present to what your body's trying to tell you, to open into what's actually stored there. And so with all my heart, if you feel that you've uncovered something today, then you might listen to the invitation from your own soul that maybe it's time for you to begin your journey. Because the journey can, in a very real and practical way, help you get to the cell memories, the emotional root cause of what is co-creating these more surface emotions. And it can help you go through not only a process of really getting to the real root, but to fully clearing and coming to wholeness inside yourself. And so my prayer is that we all use today as our own wake-up call. I didn't bring you here. Your heart brought you here. Your own soul brought you here. And it's saying, it's time to come home. It's time to clear whatever blocks you, whatever shuts you down, whatever holds you back, those silent saboteurs. It's time to clear whatever's put a lampshade over your light, and to go on your journeys inside the body, to really dive in and to finish and come to wholeness with what's stored inside. And I have to say this, I've been doing this work for 30 years since I had that tumor. And while I was on tour for 44 weeks out of the 52 weeks a year, traveling to the 39 countries we work in, and it's translated in 22 languages. And with all those tours, every single week, I got a journey process. Because ever since that tumor, I never want to be so arrogant as to say I've got it all handled. I know there's more than one issue stored inside my body. And I feel it is a privilege to clear whatever blocks me or holds me back or shuts me down on any level of being, so that this radiant presence that is my essence can live my life. this same radiance, this love, this shining joy, this peace that is yourself can live your life. And so I pray that you will respond to your heart's call, that it is time to come home to the truth. And I'm so grateful that, one of the great gifts of COVID is I used to have to travel around the world to the 39 countries. And I may not get to your country for a year or 2 or 3 years even. And I was every week a different city, a different country. And still, you had to wait till I was there in person. Now, because of COVID, we had to take the whole Journey Practitioner program and put it online. And you still get the same powerful results. And so I'm so grateful. I'm going to turn it over to Gabby now, and she can share with you where the Journey Intensives are happening in your time zone, in your area. They're happening in Europe, they're happening in America, in Australia, and they're coming up soon. And so she can share with you how it's possible to begin your journey and listen to the call of the soul. And so I look forward to seeing you along the way. And I give you over to Gabby, who can share some more about what's going on and how you can begin your journey and continue your journey. And a heartfelt namaste.
Thank you so, so much, Brandon. That was so powerful, so beautiful. And I've also been blown away by the comments in the chat box of how deeply people go. And for everybody here, I didn't introduce myself at the beginning. I totally forgot. I was so excited to be starting today's discovery session. I've been with Brandon I did my first Journey Intensive weekend coming up to 28 years ago. And it truly transformed my life. And I'm the international director for the Journey, have been that for 27 years. And I have seen transformation so profoundly, deeply. It's been a huge privilege to be alongside Brandon, to travel the world with her, to witness these transformations, these enormous healings that happened at every Journey Intensive. And now we have the opportunity to do this online. We are doing Journey Intensives on 3 different time zones, especially in the European one. We always offer various translations. So I know, for example, that a German event is coming up, a German translation, Czech translation at the next European one. And the North American event is coming up really, really soon on the 2nd to the 4th of November. Now, we call them often in our announcement the 2-day workshop. The 3rd day is a bonus day, so most people stay for it, and yet it's not essential, and you can do it in your own time if your work schedule doesn't allow to stay for 3 days. So we always start most of the events, unless they're midweek, start on the Saturday, Sunday, and then the 3rd bonus day is on the Monday. My experience has been we've gone with the times and with COVID and started to offer our events online from 2020. And it's been a huge privilege to see what takes place at these events, because nothing has got lost. And I've heard so many times now that people actually said, I don't think I could have participated and sat in a room with another 100 or 200 people and really go through emotional stuff that's coming up for me. So there is an extra little security by staying in your own home, by being in your own private space. And yet the depth we're going to, what comes out at the end of it is totally equally the same. So not only that, but we always have a beautiful group of journey practitioners who have trained with Brandon for a full year to support these events. So if anybody gets stuck, you can do the process work from the book. You can learn it yourself. But if you really want to begin this transformation, to really step into it and use these tools in your life ongoingly, then the Journey Intensive is your first major step and life transforming it is. My friends around the world are all people who've been through the journey. It's just something happens where it gets lighter. We live our life from our hearts, and all of the issues that I've been seeing and reading in the challenges that you mentioned, they are issues that can heal, that have an origin or a root cause to them. And the first step is the Journey Intensive, and much can change right there. The cost is a fraction of what it used to be when we had to go live. And so we can make it more easily available. And all of our prayers would be that everybody has those tools in their bag, in their homes, for themselves, for their partners, for their children, for their families. It is something that allows us to navigate through life more wholesomely, more healthily, and that's our wish. The next step in Europe is the Abundance Retreat. Somebody just asked, and please, we do have, you can actually call one of our people at the office. We have a clarity call, we call it. So if Olga has the link there for that, or just write an email to support@thejourney.com and somebody will get through to you or respond to you by an email. I don't think I have any more to say other than we did say that we would give a place away free. And today, the person, so I'm scrolling through the people who've been there at the beginning and who stayed until the end. And so today's prize goes to Annette Hawkins. I think she is from New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations, Annette. The Journey Intensive on the Australian time zone, which I'm sure you can manage that from New Zealand, is in a couple of weeks' time, well, in a little bit over 2 weeks' time. And I wish you a powerful experience, healing, and a beautiful time at the event. So for everyone else, thank you so much for joining us. You have all the details there. All the links have been posted. We are going to show a few more of our journey experience. We've played at the beginning. There are some more, and this is just, we can speak about the profoundness and the beauty of the journey all day long. And yet it becomes more stronger when everyday people from all kinds of countries, from all kinds of cultures, whether they be male, female, young, old, speak about this work, and they've all experienced it and have adopted it into their life. So you're going to hear a few more of them. And I thank you with all my heart for joining us today. I hope we see you at the upcoming Journey Intensives. And if you want to know about translated events, go to thejourney.com. And then there are some other events. I know, for example, in Australia, we have a live event actually in the Byron Bay area. We have another live event in the Adelaide area. But these events are posted on the website. So you just need to go and find thejourney.com and scroll down, and then you have all the events coming up. So anyway, hope you have been inspired today. You have uncovered something, and please know that whatever it is, wherever you are in life right now, there is a way, and everything and anything, in my experience, can be healed. Our bodies are healing machines. We are programmed to heal. We just sometimes get stuck in something. Thank you with all my heart, and I hope I see you again soon. Namaste.
My biggest win with the journey was being able to access my deepest emotions and free myself from them. I feel more calm and serene.
I found my true calling, and now today I can help others. I love to make an impact. I love to see transformation in others' lives.
For years and years, I used to feel very lonely, and now I just feel a part of everything. I feel I'm alive.
My biggest win with joining the practitioner program is owning my own life back and stepping out of a severe PTSD.
The acceptance of myself and the self-love, so I don't need others to love me. That's perfectly okay.
Life is different now because of joining the journey, because I just live in so much abundance. You know, I get up every day with a joy for living. I want to go to work. I want to meet other people.
My biggest win was the really deep knowing I actually do have the answers. They are within me.
There is a lot more certainty and openness into where I'm heading and how I'm feeling about things.
I feel more connected to life. It's not an easy path for anyone to do healing work, but it's profound.
1, I'm more balanced. 2, I'm more grateful for those persons who helped me in this life. I enrich my life every day with this wisdom.
It's priceless. There's no better, bigger investment we can do in time, money, or energy.
I was a mess before I started with this work, and I healed from lots of different types of abuse, and that's a miracle.
My life now, because of the journey, is transformed. I have confidence, even if I struggle. It's just I have to let go. It's step after step, and it's no danger at the end.
My biggest win is myself. It doesn't have to be anything else. You can be fulfilled even if you only have yourself.
It's more peaceful. I've learned to process emotions. I learned to be more self-aware, and I've learned when you need to ask for help.
I've been able to have a really deep, long, soulful look at myself, and I've been able to uncover, recover, and heal long-term wounds.
My biggest win being a journey practitioner has been becoming a therapist and a healer, because that's what I never ever imagined it to be.
I'm living from a place of freedom and choice. I'm really conscious in every moment. Any sentence I say, it's coming from just pure goodness.
I feel more authentic, wearing much less of a mask. It's about being you and feeling good about it.
I can embrace all that is. I'm here to share my life, my joy. Now I can just be me.
My own journey of healing from cancer is an inspiration for others. I get to work with amazing people, see amazing transformations in their life.
My biggest win is to be yourself. Just be there for other people, to help other people heal, and just to be there.
I know that no matter what comes, I have the right instrument to deal with whatever emotions every situation will bring to me.
It really has helped me come back to a place of wholeness. I feel like completely authentic. I feel genuine. I feel like I'm in my body.
My big win is my courage and my physical healing, my emotional healing. But in one word, I could say freedom.
The journey is all about releasing all of the emotions that create the illness. I was healed physically within 6 weeks, while I had been in pain over 3.5 years.